What's happening, Boot Junkies? Mike Dog Audio here, back with another video. Really, it's about YouTube setup. The good folks over at GVM offered to send me a pair of lights, and normally I'd say no to that stuff since we're an audio-related channel, but I've been looking to try and up my B-roll game for the products that I get to review for you all here. So I thought I'd say yes to see if these lights could meet my needs in exchange for a video. If you're interested in video and LED lighting, then I invite you to stay and watch it. If you're really looking for a home studio setup for voiceover, that'll be the next video coming soon. Thanks. This is the 880 RS lighting kit from GVM. The good folks over at GVM sent me these lights and asked if I would review the product. They sent me this 2-light kit. Now, these are multi-function LED lights designed for video content creators and for filmmakers. And I want to disclose right up front that GVM sent me these lights in consideration for making this video. But I'm otherwise not compensated by GVM. They have no input on what I say. They won't see this video before you do. My only goal here is to help you decide if these lights might be right for you. Now, normally I don't say yes to review lighting products for video, as it's not really my strong suit. I'm no expert. But since these lights seemed pretty beginner-friendly and pretty affordable, I thought I would see if these could solve my needs as I make my videos. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the lights. The kit comes in this semi-rigid case that has everything you need for basic 2-point lighting. There are the 2 lights, of course, that each come in this velour protective bag. The lights come pre-mounted on the U-mounts, and each light has the barn door flaps already pre-installed. Totally cool. They're pretty much plug and play. The kit includes power adapters for wall power, so these can be your front lights for, like your YouTube setup, and you don't have to worry about changing any batteries or recharging them all the time. But they are not limited to wall power. There are 2 slots on the back, and you need to flip the power switch to choose between wall power or battery power. And you do need both batteries connected at the same time. I find that if you pull one out, the light will go out, so you can't hot swap the batteries. There are also, of course, 2 light stands included, and they're pretty basic lightweight stands. They're fine, they're nothing to write home about. You'll notice along the way that sometimes the lights shake as I'm adjusting them. No problem. They elevate the lights around 7 feet in the air. However, the stands go higher than the length of the cord on the back. So if you're extending the lights all the way up, it's a good idea to get, bongo ties or Velcro straps just to hold the brick in place for strain relief. Otherwise, you might put too much stress on the cable over time or the plug and damage the lights. That would not be good. The lights themselves have several modes. They can either be white or they can display RGB color. There are dedicated LEDs to adjust between warm white or bright white, and there are separate LEDs for color. Having separate LEDs for white is great, and the adjustment allows you to match the color for any other lights you might already have. Just turn the knob to adjust between sunlight white at 5600 Kelvin or add more yellow down to 3200 Kelvin, which is similar to an incandescent or a warm white. Then you can also switch to RGB mode, and here you can pretty much choose any color you want. And they also have a super good brightness range from off to, as you can see, really bright. They're rated at 60 watts, so they can go really bright. That also includes the color LEDs, which are bright and vibrant. And you can adjust both the saturation and the brightness over a nice wide range. And yeah, you do get a nice broad range of colors. Now remember on the back that the knob on the right side is also a button, and that's how you switch between hue and saturation to find the exact color that you want. You can press that button. Now, I've covered my wall with this neutral gray photography backdrop. This allows me to use the RGB lights to splash any color I want onto the wall and quickly transform the background for product shots. There are several modes for adjusting the lights. You can switch modes with the buttons here on the back, or you can adjust them with an app that you grab from the App Store or the Play Store, and there's also a QR code that will take you to the GVM website where you can also find the app. With one light in primary mode and one light in secondary mode, the lights will instantly pair with each other. You designate one as the primary light and the other as the secondary light. And then when you set them this way, the secondary light will automatically follow the same settings as the primary light. That's a pretty cool feature. Now, if you find that the secondary light does not adjust automatically, you may need to click the up and down arrows on the secondary light until both lights are on the same channel using the display here. Then the lights will sync up. The mode button cycles through the different modes of the light. Each light can be the primary light or the secondary light. For any light you switch to the app setting, sorry it's blurry here, but these lights will only be controllable with Bluetooth from your phone or tablet using the GVM LED app. There are also some pre-made scenes that may be helpful. Police lights, simulated lightning, TV flickering, a bad bulb, candles, and so forth. Those modes don't really apply to what I do, but for other people, they might find them useful, so I wanted to mention it. One of the really nice factors I discovered after I opened the package is that these lights get warm, but not uncomfortably hot. I've left them on for more than 10 hours at a time, full power, and they were warm, but only warm. I have other LED lights that get really hot to the touch. But because of that, the GVM lights stay cool enough that an internal fan is not needed. That is good. These will not interfere with your microphone because they're fully silent. That part is great. If you've tried to use other LED lights that were not made specifically for video, you may see them flicker or otherwise make stripes in your video. These GVM lights suffer no such flicker. They are, for all intents and purposes, continuous at any brightness or color. Now, you may notice when you first install the lights that the barn doors prevent you from angling the lights downward, that the barn doors get in the way. You can fix that by loosening the bolts on the side and moving them to the other mounting point. That will give you more room for the barn doors and angle the lights downward. Just don't lose the little plastic washer that goes between the light and the stand. And if positioning continues to be an issue, the barn doors are removable. But note that I needed a hex driver to loosen them the first time. They're supposed to be just finger tight, but mine were just way too tight. I could not loosen them by hand, so I needed to use like pliers or this hex driver here. So in everything I used it for, the lights themselves were great. No complaints whatsoever. On the other hand, the app needs some work. It's a little confusing and it's not perfect by any means. Once you're in the app and connected to a light, it's pretty easy to switch between modes, select between color or RGB, set the brightness, and so forth. It's easy enough to use once you're connected to the light. But when you're connecting to each light, the only way you identify the light is with this long cryptic address here. I ended up using some tape, or actually this label from my P-Touch labeler, so I could keep them straight. I put the sticker on the back here so I could tell which light was which, because that address is impossible to remember. Now, the app is not absolutely required, but if you want to access the custom scenes like police mode or lightning or anything like that, or if you're the only one in the studio, then the app is kind of necessary because you'll want to use the remote. Now, it appears that you can save the current color or color temperature as a custom scene that you can quickly recall on a light-by-light basis. However, on my Android devices, the app crashed whenever I tried to use that feature, so I can't attest to how it worked. It crashed on every Android device I tried, and I'm not an iOS user, so I don't know if the same thing happens on the Apple devices. But at any rate, from what I can tell, it only recalls the scene for whatever light you're connected to, is what I think. So if you wanted to try and create a specific scene using multiple lights, like to transition between segments in a live stream, I'm not sure it would be doable in real time because it seems to be on a per light basis. I hope that an app update is going to sort that out. Now, from a permissions perspective, the app wants access to your photos and files, your storage permission, and I think that is so that you can save the scenes, but since that feature seems to be broken in the Android version, I can't attest that that's the only reason for it. But really, what is more concerning for me is that the app requires location to operate, and I have no idea why location would be mandatory for lights. I do not like that permission requirement at all. When I tried to use the app without location by denying it, it forces you to activate location. And, frankly, that could keep me from ever using the app. I cannot think of a legitimate reason or explanation why the app needs to track my location. So there is that consideration if you are concerned about such a thing. But like I said, the app is optional. And as video lights, these have been really good for what I'm doing and trying to step up my B-roll. The kit suits my needs just right. And as you can see, the B-roll shots look great. But there are some of those weird things in the app that I wish were different. I'll leave it for you to decide if any of those issues are deal breakers or not. So that is the GVM 880 RS light kit. Thanks again to the folks over at GVM for sharing their lights with me. I really, really appreciate it. That's all I have for you today. Thanks, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care.